I changed it.
So you want to be a champion?
Oh no, now the knee. Well, that was it. Manu, what's he done there? He's sold to dummy with a knee injury. It's a fake knee injury. That is set up and thrown from Momirovski. It's the next tackle. He gets an offload. He goes back and gets a football. Probably feels a cramp coming on in the back of his calf. And then just takes off. Oh, what a beauty. So, you pick which has been the better moment. The bloke kicking the ball back from the traffic at the southern end, or Manu, the cramp, the fibber, and takes off to set up a try.
Oh, that intro. Manu, fibber, if getting the 16 points this week. So I think he did a bit of a fib into everyone this week. Poor bugger. So, all right. Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of the Supercoach Tragics podcast. I'm your host, Dan, coach of Badongadong. One more round to go, guys. One more round. Head-to-heads are all over. So nothing left for me to play for, really. So, Glenn, mate, how was your week, mate? And how are you looking?
Yeah, well, my week wasn't that good. I got 1,137. I ended up getting an AE of 6 or 12 or something. So that hurt me on my looping of Cleary. I ended up buying DWZ instead of sorry, let me just take that off in the background. I ended up going DWZ instead of what I was going to do, which was Walsh, Marzu, or CNK. It was any one of those three, and I just decided at the last minute buy a Walsh, so that hurt. But I'm looking good for this week. I had 16. Horseout brings me down to 15, so I'm actually pretty stacked with numbers this week.
Yeah, 15, man. I'm bloody jealous, mate. There's a couple of players in doubt that in my team, and if those players do play, I've got 11. So, yeah, bit unfair considering I had 23 players live 2 weeks ago, and now I've only got 10 or 11. So, not ideal, but my head-to-heads are over now, so I can't really complain. Myself, I had a pretty decent score last week, got a 1376. Bringing me down, and now I'm ranked 731st now, which is pretty good. So nice and safely into that top 1,000, hoping to get another pair of socks this year. But with 11 players, mate, you never know. So yeah, not really looking forward to watching any games this week, frankly. But
well, I said it before, Dano, that they should make it that when where they end the head-to-head finals is where the overall finals should end as well, because there's so much uncertainty around the last round, with depending on what sides are going to be rested, that it kind of makes it a little unfair. I mean, there's a couple of guys sitting in first and second are in real danger of getting knocked out by 7 and 8 because they've got a lot more numbers, and it's turned into pot luck. And I just think that putting in a year like that, it'd be so unfair to get knocked out in the last round because you bloody got 8 players or something, that's just wrong.
Yeah, I say it's unfair, but it's the same for everyone every year. So I get it why they haven't changed it. But like, for example, if I saved my trades and had 2 trades left for the last round, what's that going to do for me? I'll have 13 players, really. So still no good, really. Perhaps they could do something like they do in the buys. Maybe the best of 13 scoring, maybe something like that. But
yeah,
that's unfortunately that's the powers that be make those decisions up, I guess. So
absolutely, yeah.
All right,
well,
let's get see, mate. Let's get into our overall update. All right, guys. So same again. We got Glenn with Here Come the Bears now in 4th overall. But we had a ripper of a score there from Edwin Lux for Losers last week with a 1463, now in 7th overall. Both these guys have a real chance of taking out the number 1 spot. Really wishing both the boys some good luck there. And yeah, hope one of these guys will actually bring home Supercoach Championship ring as well as entry into a cash comp next year. So one more week to go, and we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see a tragic win again. We've had a tragic win a couple of times now.
Yeah, it'd be good to have someone in the Tragics comp win. So
yeah.
Get some more credibility to our podcast.
Yeah, they're only doing well because of us, Dan.
Yeah, all the advice they're taken from us, and they're doing as we say and not as we do. So great work, guys. Good luck. And now let's get into this week's games.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right, so let's have our first look at the carnage. We have the Broncos versus the Storm. Glenn, mate, these two reserve grade teams coming out there. It'd be good to see some young guns have a go at this game. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, there's some mass restings by the Broncos, and the Storm's resting Munster, Meaney, and Grant. It should be an interesting matchup. Pierre Corey's been playing really well, Ricky. Look, if you've got a trade left and you want to make one this round, the trade would be to get Ryan Pappenhausen. If you can afford to get Ryan Pappenhausen this week, do it. Absolutely. I mean, he is a genuine gun. I don't know if you know, but it was this year or last year in the first 13 rounds, he scored more points than any other player in the history of the game. I'm not talking about Supercoach points. I'm talking about actual points. So a genuine gun against a side that is severely depleted, the Broncos. It is at home for the Broncos, so and these young guns there's still some pretty good players in there. Sailor, Oates, Pereira. Yeah, the forwards don't look too bad. Flegler, Smoothie, Jensen, Piakora, Ricky, Palacia. Yeah, it's the only one I'd be buying though, mate. I don't know if I'd be chasing anyone else. I'll at least Qatar if he plays, but there is some doubts around him, right?
Yeah, I'm hearing there is some doubts around him. I'm hoping there's not, because that would bring me down to 10. So, but no, honestly, one thing, as an NRL fan, I do love kind of watching these games at the end of the year where you've got that Broncos young gun side, and it's just full of just excitement and flair with these young kids. They finally have a crack and get a go. And like, you got Sailor there as well, and these guys are going to just go out and have some fun. They're going to just throw the ball around. It's going to be really exciting to watch. But yeah, being a Supercoach fan, it's going to be a bit of a struggle to try and get some numbers up there, but trying to keep Supercoach out of my mind and watch this game and enjoy it for what it is.
The Broncos haven't beaten the Storm since 2012, is it? I can't remember. I think it's 2012.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's an interesting tidbit for you.
Yeah, well, and if if they do somehow win this game, you can't really say the Broncos won, because it's a different Broncos team. So it's the Broncos reserve grade team, mate. But I'm looking forward to watching it. It'll be pretty exciting to watch. So like a lot of fancy footwork and some flair. I reckon it's gonna be pretty exciting to watch.
Yeah, I agree. A few players there trying to get contracts and get into the first grade side, so they'll definitely be showing their wares. It is a very weak side in comparison to the other side, although they're missing a fair bit too. But Jaden Nikorima, Wishart, and Pappenhausen have had a bit more first grade time. I mean, Pappenhausen's a gun versus the other ones there with Madden. I really am a fan of Jock Madden, just quietly. I actually brought him up in my draft side last week. I ended up losing. I lost Luai and Moses in the last two rounds for my head-to-head final in the draft, so I was a bit unhappy there.
Madden's being pretty safe and secure there, I guess. Bit of a stable kind of position. But then you look at the other team, Melbourne. They've got Wishart, they've got Pizzette, and they've had more game time. They're a bit more settled. They're more stabilised. They're probably more NRL fit, and I think that Storm will get done again. So, which would be good for my Panthers. Panthers can beat the Cowboys, and then we can get that minor premiership back.
Yeah, looking at the benches, though, both them benches, I mean, they've got a better bench, in my opinion, the Broncos, with Pakes, Wilson, and Tapau versus Falago, McDonald, Penne, and Howarth. I mean, Howarth makes his long-awaited debut. I mean, a lot of us have been waiting to see Howarth play for a couple of years now, so we'll see how that pans out, eh?
Yeah, well, we got a little glimpse of him in the State of Origin, the junior State of Origin, and that year, I think it was, and he wasn't overly impressive. But in saying that, I think it's been a while. He's had a long time in the first grade team training camp, so I think there's going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing him hopefully to get a spot next year, but that could be anything. So,
well, there is some news that possibly Warbrick could be out too, and if that happens, there's a possibility that Howarth could start. So if that happens, keep your eye on late team shuffles.
Yeah, good idea. All right, we'll move on to game 2, and we've got Manly Sea Eagles versus the West Tigers, mate. Anything here that you'd be interested in, mate, besides the obvious DCE?
Yeah, that's the only one I was going to throw up, mate, was DCE. As you and I know, he tends to come home very strong, especially in Supercoach. So for those that are got a trade left, if it's in the halves and you want to buy someone in that position, and you've got like a Sean Johnson to DCE could be a beautiful trade this round.
Yeah, I think so. I think well, DCE is the reason why I lost my head-to-head last week, mate. So with Hines being ruled out, it was the obvious choice to bring DCE in, and I got smashed in the end. So, but he was looking pretty impressive throughout the game. Everything that happened went through DCE, and he got denied a try as well, and he had so many opportunities to get those tries. Seaman was kicking to the sideline as well to sub, and he missed them. Missed slightly off, which is not like him. He's only pretty spot on with the kicks, and he missed a few there, and that could have been another 2 try assists. But still big score there, 141, I think, or 144 where he got it. So very, very handy score.
Absolutely.
No one really for the Tigers. Like I said, we don't really want to look at someone like an IPAP, who's probably the most stable person there, but he's in the forwards. He's not going to get the biggest score as well. And I think I'm pretty sure he has been doing too well this year anyway.
If you had a trade left and you was a Grant owner and a Sonny Luke owner, I wouldn't go Apo Coruscant goal kicking wouldn't be a terrible shout.
Yeah, so is Appy? I'm just having a look here. Is Appy in that team with Simpkins? Appy's obviously in the halves, of course.
Yeah, he's in the halves, mate.
Yeah,
I don't know if I like him as much in the halves.
Yeah, I think he's just getting his hand on the ball more often, and that's the thing. Like I know when you're a hooker, you get the hand on the ball every play, but I think his leadership around the field, you noticed it everywhere he goes. As soon as he left the Tigers with that broken jaw, he came back, and the Tigers are a different team again.
Absolutely.
So I think just him being there, and yeah, I just don't think he goes that big this week against Manly. I think Manly are going to be fired up after last week, but yeah. All good. We'll move on to game 3, and this is the game of the week. South Sydney Rabbitohs versus the Sydney Roosters. Looking forward to this one, Glenn.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. 7 sin bins last time. I mean, like, this is the match. It's a shame Latrell Mitchell's out and Hargraves. I can't help but say, I know this is going to sound wrong, but I'm wondering if Latrell Mitchell didn't want to play this game. Like that last minute brain explosion that he'd done, it was just foolish, enough to take him out for the game that matters, the game where he doesn't want to play against his old club, scared of Hargraves maybe. But anyway, look, there's been a lot of talk around South Sydney of late, but about what's going on in that club at the moment. But look, there's a couple there that I like in this game, but I don't know. I think this is going to be a low scoring game. I think this is going to be a very heated exchange, but this would be a good base game. So if you've got Damien Cook, if you don't have Damien Cook, and you've got Grant and you want a hooker, Cook could be your other option.
Yeah, definitely. But that's the thing with this game. It tends to be a surprise packet. Like I think, can be low scoring, but last couple of years they've actually had a pretty high scoring game. I think they just get so fired up usually that they just forget to defend. They just want to put a hit on. But in saying that, there's Latrell being gone might lower that little fiery edge to this game potentially.
And Hargraves as well. I mean, they're the 2 firebrands, that could spark something, I think. So, Manu also might not play in this game. There's some doubts around Manu, so just keep eyes on that as well, people.
What I'll think of, what I might look at and think, if I could put money on a sports bet or something, it'll be Radley and Cody Walker to have a biff on. I reckon they'll have a crack together. So I look forward to that. That'd be good to watch.
Mate, I hope that he gets clocked. I can't stand Cody Walker, mate. I can't stand these little halves that G up and front up to these forwards. I just want one of them to just put one on the Birrell just once.
Yes, definitely. I think yes, I think Cody Walker is in the same kind of. I put him in the same kind of group as Jerome Luai. Likes to start the big boys, knowing that his big boys are behind him, ready to go. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, let's move on to the next game, and we have Dolphins versus the Warriors. So, what are your thoughts here, mate? There's obviously a few players out for the Warriors.
The Warriors have come down in the money, and everyone's saying that the Dolphins will win, and it is a Dolphins home game. So I like Ozako in this game. If you don't own him and you want someone to buy this round, he could be a seriously good option on that wing. Apart from that, Cody Nikorima is an option, I guess. Apart from that, I don't really like much in there. Lumi Lou, I think there's better options in a later game, so I wouldn't be touching anyone really, other than Isako, mate.
Yeah,
Hammer's a pod.
Yeah, Hammer would be a bit of a pod there, especially I think with a bit of the nucleus out of the Warriors team there might be some points to be scored against them. So yeah, I think I like the idea of some more ceiling players in the Dolphins, like you said, a Psycho, got Hammer. Nicarima could do all right depending on how he turns up that day, because he's either going to get 50 or he's going to get 120. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they've still got a very good pack. Bundy Afoa, Freddie Lussick, Mitch Barnett, Josh Curran, Niokore, sorry, Dylan Walker, Viliami, Jackson Ford, Sirinen, LA. That's not a bad pack, man. So I wouldn't, I still think that Isako could score well on those edges because their backs look pretty weak. But I think in the middle, I don't know if there'll be a lot of points in the middle. There could be late in the matches for a Nicarima. Someone like a Nicarima, I agree with you. Late in the halves.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's a bit quick. Yeah, I think it might be a good idea there. But I think I'm looking at my VC in this game potentially. So
yeah, well, I considered Isako as my VC, but I'm actually looking at Cleary. We'll talk about that later. I'm going to go Fafita as my captain as a bit of a pod move versus the Dogs.
Like it. All right, let's move on to the next game, and we have the Panthers versus the Cowboys. So, what do you think is going to happen in this game? I think the Panthers are a little bit strong in this game. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think they look strong still. If that's the side that rolls out, I think that the Panthers still win this game and they win it well. I really like Dylan Edwards, Taruva, Toho in this game. Peachy's somebody I really do like. If you're going to trade for a centre, Peachy could be a play on that left edge with Cogger there because Cleary will still play left to Cogger as he has, and Cogger moving it out to Peachy. Peachy just seems to find the try line. And so he could be a sneaky little pod there. Sorensen, I like a lot of players in that side. The other one from the Cows, obviously, is Drinkwater. I mean, as a pod play, but the Panthers defend backs and halves really well. So I don't know if I'd be doing that play at Bluebet either.
Yeah, well, after last week, I wouldn't put it past a few points being scored against Penrith. That was pretty disappointing actually watching that. So
yeah, interesting stat for you. The last 4 games, Cleary's had 1 try assist off a pass in 4 games, and he's had 1 try assist off a kick.
Yeah, it hasn't been overly impressive. He's been in control in the game, okay, I think, but he hasn't been doing his usual. I don't think he's getting deep enough into the defensive line, which is what he normally does. I think there might be a little bit of fear there from his injuries. So,
what about just before the injury happened? Remember that peach of a pass he put to Sorensen? No, it wasn't to Sorensen.
It was Garner.
Beautiful. Ran straight into the line, took the ball deep and passed it in.
Yeah.
But since he's come back from that injury, he's still defending well and his kicking game's been phenomenal. And that's what's kept the game going. But he's actual taking everything when he gets down to the line. He's not taking the line on when they get down in their 20. It's all kicks. You watch him. It's kick after kick after kick. And it's working for Supercoach points, but it's not working for them as a side. And I think I'd be worried going into the finals with that.
Yeah, I'm hoping pull our stuff together before the finals start. So, but yeah, all we can do. I'm not sure if a 3-peat's going to happen this year, but I think we're still pretty. I think we're in with a bit of a chance still. So,
I took them at $10 odds at 100 to 1. If they win, I get $1,000. So I get half of it. So I get the other half. So I need them to win.
Nice. Awesome. All righty, let's move on to the next game. And we have the Dragons versus the Knights. Usually in the past, this would have been the most boring game at the end of the year. And I guess without Ponga, might be again, but I think Newcastle have stepped up a little bit.
I still think they'll win. I think Lachlan Miller is still a good player. I still maintain he takes too much ball. And unlike Ponga, he doesn't have the step or the passing game of Ponga. He doesn't get down in the opposition 20 and position himself. He actually stays back out of the play when they're down in that position, which is a little frustrating. But I still think that they'll base well for Supercoach players like Miller, Best, Marzu. I think the Dragons will hold them in this game for a fair while, but I think that they'll run over them in the end.
Yeah, I think just watching the last few games that the Dragons have played at home, they tend to do all right for a little bit. Then they lose their way. Obviously, they're not a very consistent team, so they do all right at the start for a little bit, but then they hold their own. But then it just kind of falls apart and the collapse begins. But yeah,
as soon as points drop on them, Dan, they drop their heads.
It's like the floodgates opening. So
Yeah.
yes, Knights for this one as well. I reckon should be a pretty good game there, though. I think the only thing that helps the Dragons right now is Ponga being out. So, alrighty, next game we have the Titans versus the Bulldogs.
This is an interesting game. There's a few players. I still think the Titans win this game and win it well. And if I had trades left, this is the game I'd be targeting, right? Having said that, with all the noise that's gone around the Bulldogs this week, there could be a little bit more, I don't know, a bit more bite to the Dogs for some period of time. But AJ Brimson, right? If you're looking for a fullback, AJ Brimson's your man. Brian Kelly at centre, I think, would be an interesting play in this game. And David Fafita would be the other. Even Randall. If you look, Tino, of course, big Tino for Solino, however you say it. I think this is the game to target, A, for captains, and B, for if you have got money to buy a pod, this is where I'd be looking at. And I reckon Brimson's your man.
Yeah, like Brimson. I think Kelly's been doing quite well the last few weeks there as well. So I'm pretty sure if I go from memory as well, Randall has been a very quiet achiever since he's been named at the starting position. So just having a look here. So his last against Melbourne, he got 75. He got 46 against Penrith, which isn't too bad really against Penrith. 48 against the Sharks, 64 against the New Zealand Warriors, then 68 against the Cowboys, and before that 96 against the Roosters. So that's for with the position that's been lacking all year with that no consistency in the hooker position there. He's been showing some decent consistency as a hooker option there. So
yeah, well, he averages around 40 tackles. So anything that he gets in attack above that, you're going to get in Supercoach points. But like I said, Brimson could be good in this game. Even Pereira. I mean, I'm not a fan of Pereira of his pace, but he could run a couple of tries in this game late in the halves.
Yeah, I can see very much a Coatsy performance, like a very much a Coates where you're going to get tries, no base, just tries. So it could
I
do
brought
quite
Coates
well.
into my draft side this round for the draft final.
Very nice. Alrighty, let's move on to the final game of the week, and we have the Cronulla Sharks versus the Canberra Raiders. Anything here that you'd be looking at, mate?
Well, I think Hines, obviously, and I think Mulatalo versus that edges. The edges on the Raiders can be a little flimsy, and I still think this will be this is the second biggest game of the round, in my opinion. They've lost Horse, but they've definitely lost Horse. But I still think Sharks will score well in this game at home. Hines, could be a genuine captain option. Britton Nikora, Mulatalo. But the one I really like is Connor Tracy and Talakai. I think both of them in this game could score particularly well. They tend to get lazy around the middle late in games, the Raiders, and they're flimsy on their edges. So,
yeah, I think Connor Tracy's been doing really well. Like, I think Connor Tracy's been playing very much like what Miller was at the start of the year. Hogs the ball a lot and usually gets that try by hogging the ball. So I think Connor Tracy is very, very prone to get some decent Supercoach points because he is the one going for the glory. He doesn't want to be the one that checks the try up. He wants to be the one that scores it. So,
and the other thing about Connor Tracy that's a little better than Lachlan Miller is in the opposition 20, he does come down and play. So he does come in and make up. He's always around the ball. He reminds me of Terry Lamb in that he's always where the ball is. And I like those kind of players for Supercoach. They create those opportunities of being around the ball.
Yep, 100%. All right. I'm not sure if we should do the next section, mate, but we may as well do it for continuity anyway. So next section is trade talk.
Let's make a trade!
So I got no trades left. How many of you got left?
Yeah, so I had one left last week and I decided to blow it on DWS. It was a master stroke, as you can see. For that 18 points, I was wrapped. Yeah, I got none either, mate. So my trades this week will be none.
Yeah, obviously no trades for me either. But I guess we should really have a bit of a conversation about who the top trades are to bring in this week. My number one trade, if I had the trade to do it, is Ryan Pappenhausen. I think you would agree. I think I know he's high priced there, but you look at the players that are out. You got the SJ that's out, very high price there. You could easily get him in. And what is it? Parramatta had the last game off, don't they? So you got to have Dylan Brown. That's what I would have had Dylan Brown to go to Pappenhausen with a high price there as well. So I
Yeah.
think number one trading target for me would have been Pappenhausen. So
Or Ponga. You go Ponga to Pappenhausen.
yeah, that's it. It was
You know?
almost like I reckon that's number one trade. If you had the trade, I'd be going that for sure.
Yeah, Ponga to Pappenhausen.
Especially, yeah, I think Suncorp's a really decent field for Supercoach points. I feel like it's a
It is.
dry track, yeah. So
Yeah.
even though it's not a home game for them, I think they're playing against a weaker team. I think you'll probably see one of those 4 tries in 11-minute games, I reckon, off Pappenhausen if he gets his eye in. So
Yeah, he's incredible rugby league player. He just, I think having Munster out though, and they got Hughes out as well. Munster Hughes out could hurt Pappenhausen a little bit, but he's an effort player. He's around the ball all the time, and he's lightning quick. You get one little gap for Pappenhausen, he'll find his way into it, and he'll goal kick as well this week. So
yeah, with no meaning, that's a big bonus too. So
yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's talk captains and vice captain.
Oh, Captain. My Captain.
All right, Glenn. What are you looking at for captain, vice captain, mate?
So I'm either going to vice captain Isako or Cleary. I like Isako in this one. He's goal kicking against the depleted Warriors. But something in my gut just says stick with Cleary versus the Cowboys. And that's a strong side at Bluebet going for the minor premiership. They'll know if the Broncos lose, they know that if they win that game, they're the minor premiers, right? So if the Broncos win, then I might go Isako, if that makes sense. And I'm going, my captain is Fafita. I looked at Hines. I think Hines could be a good captain this round as well. And there's part of me that's thinking about going VC Fafita, and Captain Hines, and then just leaving Horsburgh up in my front row because he plays the last game, and I can just throw the C on him if Fafita goes well. So I'm not sure. It's out of those 4 anyway. Fafita, Isako, Cleary, and Hines.
Matt, that's the best sitting on the fence I've ever heard all game. So well done, mate.
I think I'm going Cleary and Fafita, mate. I'm just going to do that.
Yeah, love it. All right, I'm looking at doing Asako into Cleary. So I haven't got Fafita, so I'll be going Asako into Cleary. I think Cleary. I think he got at a decent score this week. I think they Panthers own the Cowboys this week, and I'm hoping anyway. So may as well double down on my hopes. But yeah, that's it for me. That's all. But like to me, I just need to get my captain choice right, so I don't fall back and miss out on 1,000. So
I'll just check the questions, mate. I know there wasn't a question, but we did have a comment from somebody that said thank you.
Before we do that, mate, let's get to the questions.
Any questions?
That's literally what I was doing, looking for the questions. Let me just find it now. Sorry, guys. Give me 2 seconds, guys. We are live below. The podcast is on tonight. Here we go. Yeah, so we had Peter Waltman who's just made a comment, and he said, Glenn Fisher, he didn't say Dan, he just said Glenn Fisher. Thank you for all the Supercoach content this season. Has been an enjoyable watch list and listen each week. But I'm sure he meant both of us, Dano.
Nah, mate, I've been given no advice whatsoever. I'm just taking the advice off you, and that's all I'm doing. So I'm going to take that personally. So
absolutely. It's been a pleasure, the guys, every year doing our Supercoach pod. You know, we love it, don't we, Dan?
Yeah, no, it's always good, mate. Do this for fun. So don't do it for likes and whatever. You do it for fun. So
that's right, absolutely.
All right, so this is going to be our second last episode for NRL. So next week we're going to do a little bit of a rundown, just so everyone knows. We'll go through the winners of the Andrew Johns Cup, and we'll go through all the other comps that we have. Probably get some announcements there. One thing I will actually want to say now is if you have won cash in our cash comps and you haven't done so yet, please reach out to Brod Thompson in the DMs. Getting your bank details. They're going to start paying out the head-to-heads this week, and then overall will start happening as of next week once the season's over. So make sure you reach out to Brod Thompson. He will look after you guys and go from there. So.
And make sure you remember too that once the NRL season's over, we will change the page at the top to BBL Supercoach Strategies, and we'll have the competitions going for BBL. And we've also got the NFL, is it? What's it called? The NBL going at the moment. And I think Brod's running comps for that too, isn't he, Dan?
Yeah, we're not getting much interest, which I get. It's a new comp, it kind of doesn't make sense. But if you just want to have a few muck around fun games, we might create a Tragics League for everyone if they want to join in there as well.
Yeah.
Just a bit of fun there because it's going to be a bit different, completely different. It's one of the NBA. I've played NBA a fair bit and it's always like every day a different game, and it's so full on. You need to be all over it. So I
Yeah, I
don't
think
even think we're not going to have time to do a podcast for it. I don't think so.
no, I won't be
Um,
doing that. We're all for BBL, and we may have a special guest in Peter Forrest joining us for the BBL comp. So I've been training with him at the gym every day, and only just realised today who he was. And we had a conversation about that, and he said to me, he said, "I would love to come on it. Not only come on it, he said he's got a few players out there that he'd like to get some revenge on, or give us a little bit of gossip about." So I'll be really keen to hear what that is. And
I'll
look,
be-
if we push him a little bit down, we may even be able to get some players.
Okay. Well, we'll have to have a gossip session, so we'll call it the Oprah Winfrey Show or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Get Jerry Springer on there and have a bit of an all-out brawl. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, that wraps everything up this week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week, guys. I hope you see some green arrows. Peace out.